Hey everyone, welcome to Ball and Chain. This is the second and the third video that we're doing. This is going to summarise the week's action and the weekend's action from the football. We're a little bit behind, so quite a bit to catch up on. So a video today focused around the weekend's action across the leagues, and then Monday Night Football, which was Everton West Ham, and then the Champions League up to today. And then tomorrow's video will preview the weekend's fixtures and also the action that's happened tonight across Europe as well. So strap in, grab a drink, and let's get on with the show. Hey everyone, welcome to Ball and Chain. We're going to now review all the fixtures that happened over the weekend and also the Champions League fixtures on Tuesday and Wednesday, coupled with some league fixtures in between that. Let's start with the Premier League. Twists and turns are always in the Premier League, wasn't there, this weekend? The most notable result has got to be Liverpool getting beaten by Palace. What a performance by Palace. Liverpool, I thought they were going to leave it late. It was Palace's turn to do the dirty on Liverpool late on, and they got a fantastic win to get the points against Liverpool. And Mark put a dirty blot on Liverpool's record, which has been fantastic this season. And also see Brentford, who beat Man United in the early kickoff. They were fantastic, weren't they? Man United just didn't wake up really. Chelsea lost 3-1 to Brighton after getting a man sent off, which really changed the complex of the game. And Brighton came back from 1-0 down to win 3-1. Leeds United and Bournemouth played out an entertaining 2-2 draw. Man United were rocked a little bit by Burnley, so took an early lead, and then Burnley equalised surprisingly. Manchester City have a notoriously good record against Burnley, and their equaliser kind of shocked and rocked Man City, going in at half time at 1-1. Then the second half, it really was a Haaland show, wasn't it? It got an assist and then two very late goals to give Man City what looked like on paper a very, very comfortable win. But I think that first half was a lot more difficult Manchester City than anyone expected. And those who triple captain Haaland, it was sweaty. It was squeaky bum for most of that game. But he came in, and Haaland does what Haaland's been doing. He's been on absolute fire. And he's got another two again last night. Like, the guy is on fire at the moment for City. He definitely is. He's like captain pick every week, isn't he, in your FPL? But I triple captained him. Gamble paid off thanks to my friend John and my brother-in-law John. Well, kind of brother-in-law. He picked out. He recommended. He's like, I'm going Haaland pick. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just going Haaland triple captain. Bang, done. And I kind of went, do you know what? That's a really sound thing. His record against Burnley's good. I'm going to go with it. And I'm so glad he did. Thanks, John, for that tip. That was most appreciated and a great result for us. So, yeah, that boosted me right up to the top of both my leagues, which is awesome. So now we'll see how we get on. The fun starts now when you top your pressures on. And you've got to make sure you keep that team ticking over. I'll tell you about some other transfers I made as we summarise the rest of the fixtures. And then Sunderland compounded the pressure on Ange really already, with a great 1-0 win away at Tottenham. They are playing really well. Like, give credit where credit's due. I'm actually glad Sunderland went up rather than us, because they've made a right go at it. They've got a great manager. They've invested well in their team, made some very smart and shrewd signings, and they're reaping the benefits of that now. And look at that with Sunderland getting a fantastic result against Forest. I think nobody would have had that. I had both teams to score actually, because I knew it was going to be tight. I expected Forest to do better though, and them not scoring was massively disappointing. The DEFCON points for Sunderland that they're building up this season is pretty high as well, and they've got some they were reasonably priced. I suspect they're going to go up in value now. Defenders for Sunderland, so if you had a Sunderland defender in, that was very brave, but also a great shout as well. Spurs again. Wolves got a great result in the League Cup against Everton, and now they've continued that good form. I mean, that's a good away point. If you'd have offered Wolves a point before they went to Spurs, I think you'd have bit somebody's hand. Now, we weren't winning for large parts of the game. They needed João Palhinha again to score another cracking goal to rescue a point. And again, I think everyone had home win there on the coupon. So again, another surprising result. I mean, it wasn't a great day actually for betting, because unless you got both teams to score, which I did, and we nailed on our both teams to score with Brighton against Chelsea, so that landed really. It was always going to land, weren't it? That was definite. And we also had an early kick off both teams to score with Man United and Brentford. So we did. Our recommended bets came off for that league. So where does that leave everybody in the table? Liverpool continue to be top, just But that result definitely disappointed. Let's have a look at the rest of the weekend's game and just summarise. So Newcastle and Arsenal played out a 2-1 win. I've got to say that the result probably doesn't. I don't know. I felt Newcastle played really well and were quite unlucky to not get something from that game. But again, if you're going to challenge for the title, you need to win those tough games and get results when you don't deserve them. And Arsenal did that, so credit where it's due. And a very good result at Newcastle. It's never an easy place to go, and a very good result for them. Villa started to wake up, so a very good result to them, 3-1. Ollie Watkins played very well. I thought it was I was surprised he didn't get the assist. So he crossed it in, hit Morgan Rogers' hand, and I think who was it who scored the goal? It wasn't McGinn. Oh, it was Buendia. Came in and scored. And he got two actually. No, he got that one, and McGinn got the second one, and Watkins got the first. I brought Watkins into my team this week, so I thought he should have a goal and assist, but he still scored, so that was pretty good for me. So yeah, good to see him. Good to see him back on the score sheet and back on form, definitely for my FPL. And I think a much needed win for Villa that takes some of the pressure slightly off Unai Emery. And Everton played out a 1-1 draw with West Ham. Now Everton took the lead, and I was thinking once they took the lead, that was it done. Got to say, the second half, West Ham put in a great fight back, and marked difference from West Ham. I think Nuno is a fantastic manager. I think Forest were... Ange's a good manager. I don't think he's as good as Nuno. And I think them giving Nuno away was the call to action for West Ham to take action, get rid of Potter and bring in Nuno. And I think that was a smart move. Nuno is a class manager, and that second half performance gave me a lot of thought that I think West Ham will be all right now. I think they've brought in a very good manager at the right time, and I think he'll get them fired up, and he'll make some really good decisions, get them playing well. Looks like he's instilled a lot of confidence in Bowen, who scored a fantastic goal and looked quite threatening all night. So therefore, I definitely a marked improvement from West Ham as a result of that new management coming in. So the tables, look at Palace right up there, and do you know what they are? I mean, who'd have thought that when they got rid of Eze, they've lost Elise, two of their top players, and the third in the league. Like, I know it's only 6 games, but that form, they played some pretty good teams, and to have beaten Liverpool, like when they're on fire, just shows the strength of that team. So a very good result for them. And look, props to Sunderland, 5th in the league. Like their form, last 4, look at that 1-2 drawn 2. That's great for them. 11 points from 6 games. Like you wouldn't have had that in your wildest dreams. So what a great start to life in the Premiership for Sunderland. They look like they're going to be, it looks like we're not going to get a repeat of usual seasons where the promoted teams are wedded to the bottom. It looks like it's going to be a very competitive season. And you're going to have to play well to stay up this season. Like, it's going to be really competitive. Burnley are down there, and I suspect that they will probably be... Out of all the promoted teams, I think they will struggle the most. Their recruitment hasn't been as strong as, Leeds or Sunderland. So I suspect they'll struggle, and I expect them to go down. But, they've still got 4 points after 6 games. It's not bad, and they're still up there. Look, there's nothing in that, so it's still early days. A very good point for Wolves. Will that give them confidence to build on for the remainder of the season and start to get some points on the board, or do we think they're down and out? I don't think it bodes very well for them, even though they've got a very good squad and game. If Strand Larsen gets, he needs to get back to fitness and start playing. If he is, could he fire them up the table? Who knows? What do you think? Let's see. What do you think about this weekend's results? Let's say, look at Man U 14th, Newcastle 15th. I do think that Newcastle are starting to show a bit of form. They had a great result last night, which we'll come on to. I think they'll show form. Same with Villa. Man U, who knows? Typically you'd be saying, well, if you say Newcastle and Villa and Forest maybe are going to turn it around, then surely Man United are going to turn it around. I just don't know at the moment. Man U, it's a key game on Saturday for Man U. They play Sunderland at home. Sunderland are flying. If they can't get a result against Sunderland, and that's no mean feat, by the way, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for them. But let's see. I don't know. Brentford were tipped to be down there. They've done very well. Keith Andrews doing a great job. I think he learnt a lot from Chris Wilder. We'll see what happens there. Leeds, I'm not sure their recruitment's been amazing. I mean, they bought Longstaff, who played very well at the weekend. So, they have made some very smart signings. Could that be enough to keep them up there? Well, they're definitely 12th and they're definitely competitive. And I think that's all you can ask when you go up for that first season. Be competitive, try and stay up, then consolidate, and then grow. I think they're the 3 steps you need to take when you get promoted. Stay up, consolidate, grow. That's what Bournemouth, Brighton, and Brentford have certainly done. And I think that's the model. Survive at all costs, then consolidate, bring in better players because you've got that second season money, and then start to build a platform from there. But recruitment is essential here. Like, good, smart signings are essential, and I think Leeds have made some good, smart signings, and Sunderland definitely had. I think getting Xhaka into midfield, as much as I might not like him, I do respect his talent, and I think bringing somebody in the engine room like him, who's experienced at the highest level and the top level, internationally and domestically in the Premier League and in Europe, I think he brings a lot of aura into that dressing room, and I think they've got quite a lot of young players. They've brought a lot of quality, experienced players in. I think the recruitment's been super, super smart. Out of all the teams, maybe all the teams in the league, with the exception of Liverpool, I think they've been super shrewd and smart with their signings, and yeah, they're seeing the benefits of that bravery, and also having a quality manager. Be interesting to see what the result is against Man United at weekend. So that's the Premier League summarised. What do you think? Is it shaping up the way you expected? Are there any surprises? Yeah, I've called out a few. What do you think? And what do you think the season's going to end up like? What do you think the results are going to be like this weekend? Okay, let's hit on to the Championship. So we'll go right back to the weekend. Oh, quite a lot to go through, haven't we? The weekend, so I'll pick out some selected fixtures. I'm not going to go through everything. A lot of draws, right? A lot of draws over the weekend, a lot of draws this week. So, Watford got a surprise result. I must say they got a great result against Hull. Right down the bottom, let's scroll it down. We got Stoke and Norwich was a draw, no surprise there. Middlesbrough and Southampton was a draw. Again, I don't surprise there. QPR on Wednesday, great point for Sheffield Wednesday. They continue to battle really bravely. Credit to them. Bristol City and Preston was an absolute joke for us. We said that was going to be a boasting score. Failed miserably there. Sheffield United got a very, very much needed win. I'm not going to say it was deserved. I thought we chanced our arm quite a bit, but on the balance, I think if either team had nicked it, it would have been fair. Maybe on the balance, a draw would have been a right result, but we need the points, so I'm going to be greedy and say that's good for us. Ipswich beat Portsmouth 2-1. Blackburn lost to Charlton 3-0. Ipswich and Derby played out a draw, so too did Swansea and Millwall, and a great result for Coventry against Birmingham City, while Jack Robinson sent off. That was a turning point in the game, and ultimately lost. Going into the midweek fixtures that we had a full game on Tuesday, quite a lot of games. Derby County and Charlton drew. I've got another video that covers Sheffield United and Southampton. I'll link to that in the video, so you can see that one. What am I on? 12 minutes. So I'll try and link it at this time when the video's playing, so you can click the link to that. I've got an in-depth review having attended that game. I'll not say any more. It was full of drama, let's just say that. Definitely check out my video. There's some really interesting analysis there. Middlesbrough and Stoke again becoming draw experts, aren't they? Stoke are notorious for drawing, actually. And so are Middlesbrough. So always tight games, not many goals in those games. Best you're going to get, I think, both teams score. So under 2.5, under 3.5 is a pretty good bet for those. Wrexham continue to be my both teams to score specialists. They drew out a 1-1 with Leicester. Good result for them. North End and Hull drew 1-1. So too did Bristol City and Ipswich. Look at that. Both teams to score here. Like, you knew that, but if you'd have just had both teams scoring all those games, you're having a pretty healthy return. Swansea beat Blackburn, and again, Sheffield Wednesday with a great fight back. I think actually it was Birmingham that actually fought back to draw that game with, I think it was a 95th minute goal. So unlucky Sheffield Wednesday. Great fight back from Birmingham. They needed that result. But again, Sheffield Wednesday showing a lot of heart. Credit where it's due. As much as it pains me to say, credit to Sheffield Wednesday for doing that. So I've got to look at the table. I don't want to, but I have to. Middlesbrough topping it. Coventry now shot up to second with 2 fantastic results in the last couple of games, so they've shown some real form under Frank Lampard, and now with 2 points off the top. I think everyone expected Coventry to be up there after their finish to the season at Middlesbrough. Rob Edwards is working wonders. Middlesbrough always a good team though, and always seem to end up there in some way, shape or form. I don't think that top 6 is too much of a surprise. With the exception of maybe Birmingham, Ipswich, Southampton and Sheffield United. But look, we knew that Stoke, West Brom, Bristol and Leicester would all be around that, and Coventry, it's the usual offenders always around there. Preston have surprised me. I thought they'd really struggle, but Paul Heckingbottom is a fantastic manager and proving his credentials with where they are in the league at the moment. Same with Swansea, they've spent well, made some smart signing. Charlton surprising everyone, they're doing very well. Got a great result against us and they've kicked on and got some good results, so they're looking healthy in 12th. Birmingham just hasn't quite happened for them. And they're in 11th. I thought that might be the case actually. It's a big thing to expect a team to come straight up and compete. The same can be said for Wrexham as well. Southampton, Ipswich probably underperforming, but I think everyone underestimates when you go down to the Championship. It's a bloody tough league to be in, right? So you can't really expect miracles straight away. Leicester are doing well, but where's their points reduction? I was under the impression they were going to get points reducted. So it might be next season, who knows? But yeah, they've done. Norwich aren't doing great. I expected them to be a bit higher. Same with Derby with some of the signings. They've made some very good signings, but it doesn't seem to have clicked for them yet. But you could also say that about Sheffield United. It's nice to see a green on there, but only 3 points is really disappointing. I thought we deserved a point against Southampton, I'll be honest, but we didn't get it. The luck's not going our way, and certainly the referee didn't. Sheffield Wednesday showing a lot of heart and fight, win and 2 draws. I think they've fought very well in despite, again, players didn't get paid in September and yet they're still fighting with all the heart. That says a lot about the players and the club, and credit to them, credit where it's due and credit to them. Blackburn again struggling this season, which I think we all kind of expected because they lost quite a lot of players in the summer. I don't think they've recruited to replace them. Looking at League One, just very quickly canter through these, as I know we've been going on for 15 minutes now. Cardiff, very good win. Not a surprise against Wigan. I think we all knew that. We had that on our bingo card. That was one that we tipped. Stockport and Reading, we tipped both teams to score. Lincoln, a good result against Beleaguered Peterborough. Northampton, great result against Bolton. Rotherham lost to Mansfield. Luton beat Doncaster. We did have both teams to score. They let us down. The same with Exeter Huddersfield. Huddersfield let us down. Exeter did. Plymouth got a fantastic result away against Burton. And then Bradford beat Blackpool, which was, again, one we tipped. Port Vale beat Barnsley 2-0, which was quite a surprise. Stevenage and Leyton Orient was 3-2, and AFC Wimbledon beat Wycombe 2-1. In the week, I've got to say, Cardiff have been on fire. Burton have struggled. And then it's your usual midweek paradox where your teams who shouldn't be getting results get results, and I don't know why. Maybe Cardiff went in thinking they were going to trounce Burton, and Burton went in and overperformed, but they beat Cardiff, which is a fantastic result for Burton considering Cardiff's form. And then Blackpool and Luton played out maybe an unsurprising 2-2 draw. So where does that leave us with the leagues? Well, that leaves us in a really interesting spot with Peterborough still bottom, even though they had a couple of good results, still rooted to bottom. But it's all tight around there. There's nobody's pulling away yet. So this is still very competitive. At the top of the table, again, very competitive. Bradford and Stevenage taking that top spot. Bradford doing absolutely amazing. So is Stevenage. Cardiff let themselves down. If they'd have got that win against Burton, they'd have been right up there. But they're not. Lincoln doing very well, Huddersfield doing well, not to be, again, all this, a lot of those are space players, with the exception of Bradford and Stevenage. Now, Bradford coming up, they've done really, really well. Luton, again, have lost a lot of players, so they're going through a bit of trauma. Barnsley had started very well, but struggling now, and same could be said for Doncaster. They started incredibly well, but are hitting a bit of a low patch. 3 losses on the bounce. Let's have a look at anything else that's showing out. Exeter on 4 defeats in a row, something to be mindful of there. I think you've got to start looking at these form tables and looking at who's on a bit of a downward spiral, and you're looking at Exeter and thinking, well, who they play next, that might be a decent bet. And also who's got a lot of greens on the board. Wimbledon really pulling it around now, 18 points, 3 wins in the last games, and same with Lincoln. So yeah, when we're looking at our bets for the weekend, we need to be looking at this form and those that aren't doing very well. Donny on 3 defeats in a row. Wigan 2 defeats in a row. Little Orient draw, 2 defeats. Exeter 3 defeats. Let's start looking at that form. Rotherham 3 defeats on bounce. So let's start looking at those and see what we can pick up later on. So let's go through the League 2 very quickly. Chesterfield, a phenomenal result against Newport. Fleetwood beating Colchester, and Grimsby. Cheltenham did fight back at one point, but what a fantastic result for Grimsby. So what did we tip? We tipped Grimsby to win. we tipped Gillingham let me down for such a lot of money. I did in play, it all come off apart from Gillingham just scoring 1 goal. That had got to be for me the shock, but it's typical Gareth Ainsworth, isn't it? Yeah, I always remember that tackle. We're talking about that tackle in the pub that he made on the Sheffield United player. I think it was Dane Whitehouse, and broke his leg or his ACL, and he never played again because of that. So I'll never forget that, and I don't think I'll ever forgive Gareth Ainsworth for that tackle. Crewe beat Notts County. Oldham drew with Brentford. Walsall, good win. Bristol getting a surprise. I mean, they've been on great form, Bristol Rovers, and got a very good result against Salford. We did tip that one, and if we had to pick one for that league, it would have been that fixture. And we just got let down because there were no decent fixtures in the Championship, and we only had one come off in League One, which was very disappointing and killed most of our bets. What does that mean for the league table? And again, we need to be looking at this form, don't we? But Walsall top on amazing form. Look at them. They were up there last season, weren't they, Walsall as well? Swindon now up. Gillingham have dropped off with that defeat. Their form was brilliant. So look at their form going into it. Just a bit like Liverpool, put a nasty red mark on their thing. Salford were on good form, but got a surprising result. But against a very, very informed Bristol team, they're one to watch. Crewe couldn't buy a win. Finally got a win. Same with Milton Keynes Dons. Scrolling down the league, a lot of teams that were struggling. Look at Harrogate, lose, won. But once they got that one, looks like they got another momentum, got another one. So let's start looking at these that have got a few L's next to them. There's quite a few, isn't there, in League 2 that we can keep an eye on then. Definitely that bottom 4 look like ones that are on free fall. But particularly Cheltenham getting beat 7-1, that's really damaged their goal difference and puts them in a bit of a pickle moving forward. So that's League 2 summarised. That's the leagues up and down the country and the results from the leagues summarised. Let's now move in, and I've just deleted the one thing that I didn't want to delete. So let's go back and go now to the Champions League. We've got Europa League Wednesday. Let's go to Champions League. So we had some fixtures happening in the Champions League. Let's go through those. So the Champions League's played this week. Some early kickoffs. Atlanta got a late winner against Club Brugge. I did in play that when they were drawing 1-1 and they'd come back. So that was a nice little return. Real Madrid got a very good result, and I think Mbappe got a couple of goals there. Atletico, after their result of the weekend, got a fantastic result, 5-1 at Frankfurt. Tottenham disappointingly drew, and they needed a last minute, quite a late goal to equalise. Chelsea got a good result against Benfica. Liverpool, surprisingly, a second defeat in a row now. Are we going to see Liverpool struggling now as a result? Has their form dipped? Are they now getting that losing feeling, and is that now going to impact them moving forward? Inter Milan, sorry about that, had a fantastic result against Slavia Prague, 3-0 at home. Marseille, a wonderful victory. Robert De Zerbi really working his magic in Marseille, isn't he, in France? Is loving that Riviera. A great 4-0 win against Ajax, and then Bayern Munich winning 5-1 against Paphos, but they conceded, quite surprisingly, but still 5-1. They are a goal-scoring team, aren't they? But I think the odds were so poor on Real Madrid and Bayern that it wasn't even worth bothering with. But Liverpool let me down. I expected to get at least a late equaliser. I think they had an appeal for a penalty, but it was turned away by VAR late on in the game, which is no surprise with Liverpool, late on Liverpool. But yeah, apparently there was an interview with Mo Salah, and he said it was the most intense atmosphere he's ever played at, and it was really intimidating. And I think that atmosphere. So fair play to, if you go somewhere and the fans make it so intimidating, you've got to take your hat off to the fans. It is the definition of a 12th man, isn't it? And their fans absolutely are. I'm not sure. They were setting fireworks off at 2:00 in the morning outside the Liverpool hotel, doing anything they could for their team. There's something to be said for that, but also it's pretty. If you've got to do that, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, it obviously worked for them, and they beat Liverpool, and that's a fantastic result for Galatasaray. And it got to be a coupon buster there, and Tottenham, I expected Tottenham to a little bit. Bodø/Glimt are a very good team at home and a good team, but again, Spurs let us down. Second kind of game running, and again, Spurs hit and miss. Spurs. I mean, I like Thomas Frank. I think he's a great manager, but yeah, let them serve down there. And then let's move on to Wednesday's fixtures now. Qarabağ beat Copenhagen at home. They are a very good team at home, Qarabağ. So no doubts there. Newcastle, fantastic result away at Union. They played very well. Newcastle looked back on form, back to their old selves, and a fantastic result to them. Arsenal, great result against Job. It was job done, really well professional job done by Arsenal against Olympiacos. Great result for PSG away at Barcelona. Barcelona took lead, but PSG pulled it back and won 2-1. Very good result for them. Both teams to score over 2.5 was nailed on for that game, wasn't it? Like, if you were going to have a result that you banked on that game, that was the banker. That was the game that you knew was going to come off. Bayern Leverkusen and PSV 1-1. Dortmund, a fantastic result, 4-1 against Athletic. Monaco, a great comeback against Man City. 2 Haaland goals, but it wasn't enough to give them the victory. Monaco did really well. An Eric Dyer penalty towards the end got the point for Monaco. Napoli, a great result. They needed it after their defeat against Manchester City to win 2-1 against Sporting. And then finally, Juventus have been the entertaining team. Goals galore, same as they had against Borussia. It was more goals actually in that game. But again, both teams to score is getting nailed on. Juventus used to be a team that you couldn't, both teams to score no was probably the bet. But now both teams to score in a Juventus game, pretty much nailed on now. And a great result, great 2-2 draw away against Villarreal. That concludes where we are with the Champions League. Do you want to see a table? Should we choose tables? Let's have a look at the tables for the Champions League. Now we're getting through that, we can start looking at where we are there. It's focused on the Premier League, but I want to have a look. No, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there. Let's have a look. Champions League. And let's have a look at the table. It's only early on, but no surprises is that Bayern, Real, PSG, Inter Milan, Arsenal, Quarabang, tell you they are a real surprise package, but not. If you see them at home, they are a strong team. Like, you don't want to play them at home, but away, but they've done very well. Great start for them. Dortmund and City up there, Spurs up there, Atletico, Newcastle, no surprises. And at the bottom, Kyra, no surprise. Ajax, no surprise. Really, Pathos, a point. Slavia Prague, point. So, like, some surprise. Athletic Club and Benfica down there. Mourinho's now in. Let's see what Ajiki can work. And that's where we are ourselves. Again, it's really early, isn't it, in Champions League? There's plenty of football to play. Nothing really can be gleaned. But it's no surprises at all right at the top of the table, is there? One would expect Real Madrid and PSG to be right up there. And they're going to be strong contenders this season. Very much so with Arsenal and maybe Man City. And then you've got usual Barcelona will come good. You know that's going to happen. They play PSG. That's probably one of the toughest games they're going to play. So, but it's great to see top teams playing each other, isn't it? The only thing is, I think, I know it's got to be inclusive. I know it's got to be fair. But there are teams that are going to get smashed. And is that? I mean, it's great to bring European football and big clubs to clubs, but yeah, I'm not sure I'm a fan of this big league. I'm not sure whether that works. But anyway, who am I? I know nothing. I'm just a guy who loves his football. Right, that concludes our wrap-up of all the fixtures to date. We've got a lineup of European games taking place in the Europa League tonight. Should we just preview those? Go on, let's preview them. I won't get it, but we will do that. So we now moved into the split phase of the groupings, where in the league stage in Europa League, where they play like a batch at 5:45 our time, UK time, and then I play a batch at 8 o'clock. So I've had two bets tonight. Both teams to score. I've done with picking league winners now. I'm done with that. So basically, quite a lot of these I've gone both teams to score because they're really nicely lined up fixtures. Go ahead Eagles, and I've gone with some more discreet games because I think I went like, normally I'd have gone Fenerbahce and Nice. I'm not touching that, so it's going to be both two. I've got like Braun and Utrecht, Celtic and Braga, Young Boys and FC Spur Bucharest. I've got Malmo and Plzeň, Basel and Stuttgart. No, I haven't. Malmo and Plzeň. So that's what I've got, like a 4 or 5 fold. I've tried not to go with the big teams because I'm just done with them. So that's what I picked. And then at 8 o'clock, we've got some key games like Basel against Stuttgart, and probably premium fixtures Feyenoord against Villa. That'll be a very good game, won't it? Competitive. I'm expecting Forest to beat Midtjylland. Lyon will have a good game against Salzburg. I'm expecting Porto to beat Red Star, and Rangers have got to do something against Sturm Graz, but probably both teams to score. I don't know if I've bet on them because they let me down last time. But they're the games that are taking place tonight. Tomorrow, I'll be previewing the results of that and also some exciting games that we've got as we go again for another round of Premier League and League fixtures. So I'll be back tomorrow to talk about those. Enjoy the rest of your night. If you're watching football and your team's playing, wish you the best of luck and enjoy the fantastic football that's ahead. And I'll look forward to speaking to you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. All the best. Bye now.